Hey guys, it's Mrs. King with Breakfast Club Review for the Renaissance Quiz. You only have 3 vocab matching words. One of them is Renaissance, one of them is patrons, and one of them is humanism. Then you have 3 multiple choice. One is asking you where the Renaissance begins, which we talked about with Italy. One is asking you a result of the invention of the printing press. We talked about the printing press a little bit doing notes about how it got books to more people and made books easier to copy. So the result you're looking for is that more people learn to read because books were more widely available. The last multiple choice is asking you, it's talking about how the Renaissance was based on the classical era, and it's asking you what those 2 civilizations were. What do they consider the classical civilizations? Which we talked about bunches and bunches in class, which should be Greek and Roman ideas. So make sure when we're talking about classical stuff, we're talking about Greece and Rome. Okay? The next section, you have to match characteristics with medieval or Renaissance art. Okay? We did this lesson in class. We talked about it. So to review, like when you're talking about medieval art is mostly religious pictures. They have bright, vibrant colors, and there's very little emotion. Okay? When we talked about Renaissance art is very emotional and has human and religious topics. So, just kind of keep those things in mind. You might want to play that section over to review because that's kind of a hard thing. The next section, you have to match the people with their contributions. So, like we talked about Da Vinci, who painted the Mona Lisa. We talked about Shakespeare, who wrote Romeo and Juliet. We talked about Gutenberg, who invented the printing press. Michelangelo, that painted the Sistine Chapel. Galileo, that established the idea that the planets revolve around the sun. And Cervantes, who wrote Don Quixote. So those are all guys we talked about in class. They were in our packet where we were listing what they're in charge of. So that's a good review of them right there for you. And then the last question, you have to write an essay about who you would like to meet from the Renaissance and why. But you cannot use Da Vinci because he's too obvious and everybody will just put that he painted the Mona Lisa and Last Supper. So you cannot use Da Vinci. So you could use, like Michelangelo, you could talk about his sculptures of David and the Sistine Chapel and how he was a great painter and sculptor. You could talk about one of the scientists like Copernicus, or Galileo, talking about how the planets revolve around the sun and not the earth. You could talk about Shakespeare being a famous playwright for all of his plays like Romeo and Juliet and Macbeth and how he wrote comedies and tragedies. You could talk about Queen Elizabeth because she was pretty famous, had the golden age of England, encouraged trade and commerce, was a great queen, so you could put her in there too. So just pick somebody from the Renaissance, 2 reasons why you'd like to meet them, and the impact they had on the Renaissance. That's your essay. Alright, bonus question is asking you what modern-day blockbuster book and movie talks about one of Da Vinci's greatest works, which, I kind of mentioned this in class, should be the Da Vinci Code, because we talked about the Da Vinci Code's all based on the picture of the Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. So, good luck. That's it.